AJNHAJTCLUB on German is clear, is the club that unites, but it's written in a manner that the guest workers or the Gastarbeiters who were coming in 60s from Yugoslavia were writing, so it's written phonetically. The idea is to create a space in which we celebrate 50 years of contribution of the guest workers, known on Austrian ground as Gastarbeiters, contribution to Austria, but also not just Austria, also their home countries from where they actually came. On 4th of April in 1966, this agreement was signed between Yugoslavia and Austria. And the aim of this agreement was to bring cheaper labor to Austria that actually Yugoslavia provided for Austria. So it was a voluntarily displacement of a working force that improved Austrian economy and at the same time was sort of contributing to Yugoslavian economy. Yes, any kind of migration is for me a migration to celebrate because it brings changes. If these changes will be smooth, we don't know, but that's why the governments exist, to make this contribution smooth. What's interesting about this migration that it was agreement between two countries, so it was not, these people did not run away from the war as in present migrations, but they were actually voluntarily coming for temporary work and stay. What's interesting about the Gastarbeiters is that in a way they were somehow very contemporary because the way that they lived are the way that artists live today or many other expats from other countries. So I find really interesting the Gastarbeiter as a phenomenon. It's almost like a subculture, but it's also a kind of a movement and a lifestyle that announced the way that we live today. The point of the exhibition was to really motivate artists through the Artist in Residence of Q21 to come and spend time in Vienna and engage into new research and produce new artworks. So the idea, what was really important, is that the Gastarbeiter topic is always presented in black and white images of people in trains with suitcases. And somehow the reality is not really like that, because this phenomenon, no matter that it was happening, started in the 60s, it's still living on. So some of the artists like Claudia Mate, they work with the 3D designed avatars who present sort of perfect humans that at the same time they're seducing, flirting, but confronting you with the imagery from media. In case of Michele Rizzo and Juan Pablo Camara, they actually created a dance piece with Culture Center Stevan Mokranjac for the folk dance. Or on this staircase where I'm sitting, the self-organized group 29th of November will perform. Olga Dimitrijević created a karaoke bar where, based on interviews that she did with Gastarbeiter women from different generations, she rewrote their favorite songs. So the audience will be able to participate in celebration by singing songs about the lives of the Gastarbeiter women. The staircase in which I'm sitting is actually will be glowing by artist duo ATEC from Belgium. We also have Marta Popivoda's movie, Yugoslavia, How Ideology Moved Our Collective Body, which I find very interesting because that movie shows the country that participated with Austria in signing this contract and startup of the phenomena. It shows the rise and the fail of the ideology, because Yugoslavia, as we know today, is fragmented and does not exist. What I found very interesting is that if you speak about celebration of the contract between Yugoslavia and Austria, you could say Yugoslavia does not exist anymore. But somehow, in the hearts and in the minds of the guest workers and Gastarbeiters, this country is still sort of celebrated, maybe idealized and romanticized. While speaking to different generations of Gastarbeiters, very often you would hear the comparison to the migrating or flying birds. So I was very much curious if I go with that notion to the Nature History Museum. So if I ask the experts, okay, I tell you the Gastarbeiter, what kind of birds would you show me? I was curious what would be presented. So at the exhibition space, we have a special collaboration with the Nature History Museum, in which in the vitrine there are like migrating birds exhibited. So those are the birds that from Austria fly away and come back. But there is also something else that in in the biology is called actually invading species, and those are the species that never go home. The term is quite problematic, but what I found really interesting is that the pigeon that you have in Vienna on streets is actually a Chinese pigeon that flew to Yugoslavia and then during the war flew to Vienna. And today you're calling it Viennese pigeon, but it's actually originally an Asian pigeon. So the reason why we're opening a club is because in the Article 9 of the contract that was signed between Yugoslavia and Austria in 1966 was clearly suggested that the guest workers, Gastarbeiters, because the language was not obliged, the knowledge of German language was not requested, which is really important to remember, not requested. Therefore, Gastarbeiters could not join in a cultural or any kind of participation. So what was in this article mentioned was that the Gastarbeiters have rights to join in a self-organized entertainment and cultural program, which produced more than 100 guest workers, Gastarbeiters clubs through the period of time. And in these clubs, the nostalgia towards the home country was celebrated, but it was also provided participation through joy, happiness, music, dance, folklore dance, sport, etc. So you could say that these clubs in a way were illusion, as clubs sometimes are, but for me it was important to make a connection and claim that actually Gastarbeiters were the subculture or the underground of Vienna that was very much into clubbing and maybe one of the first devoted clubbers if we refer to clubbing in a contemporary context. Yeah.